Hey guys, how's it going? It's Andy from MagooInvesting. Today I'm continuing the series on the Robinhood Top Stocks, and today we're going to be talking about Bank of America. So we're finally pushing away from the consumer products of GoPro, Zynga, Micron, and the technology stuff. Then yesterday we talked about Chesapeake Energy, and today we're talking about Bank of America. And Bank of America is close to my heart. It's the bank that I use and my family uses. While I don't love it, I haven't had that big of a problem with it. And today we're going to be talking about the stock, looking at the charts, looking what the analysts say, and I'll talk about any potential short or long-term plays that I may be taking in the future. And before we get going, I am not a financial advisor, so I'd highly recommend talking to a professional and doing your own research before making any important decisions with your finances. So I was kind of surprised going through the top 100 list to see Bank of America so high. With over 100,000 people currently owning the stock, pretty impressed, because out of the stocks that we've talked about this week, this is one of the stocks that I saw that people were buying it, and I was like, all right, people are figuring it out. This is a stock that banking stocks are pretty level. You're not going to have these crazy swings. They're not going to be down 95% in 5 years, like when we talked about Chesapeake Energy and GoPro this week. So Bank of America has had a nice track record of gains over the past couple years, and I believe it is outperforming most of the other banking stocks this year. Bank of America not only is my bank, but is one of these stocks that I have traded in the past. It's been a little bit since I've traded. I believe my last trade was in April, where I think I made 3% on it. Nothing crazy, but just a little bit of profit. And then I also owned it when it hit 52-week lows in December. I remember just hanging out with my buddies one day, just getting the notification from Robinhood that Bank of America hit 52-week lows, and it made me a little sad. But since then, it's recovered. It's had a very nice year. As I mentioned, it's outperformed most of the other banking stocks, and I think it's a decent stock going forward. With that being said, let's head over onto the computer and I'll talk about any short or long-term potential plays I see for myself that I may be taking in the future. So here we are taking a look at Bank of America, and I believe, let's see what kind of chart we're on. We're on the 10-year one day. We'll go back and see how the stock has done, and as expected with the bank stock, things have been going pretty well for a while now, when it used to be at almost $5 in 2011, and it is currently sitting at $30. So pretty impressive for a financial stock. So let's talk about what I've been seeing. This is the area where I got the notification of the 52-week low, and it was a decent support. So we'll draw that just to see if we see any potential plays going forward. So we'll draw that, and then, no, I don't want that. Let's zoom in on that. And then here is the strong support and resistance that I see. And from the recent price action, it is hanging out pretty close to that resistance. So the things I'm seeing with this stock, it would be attractive if it breaks above this resistance. So I'll set an alert there. And then it would also be attractive if it comes down and retests this support. The way it's sitting at right now, it's always kind of risky to take a position near a resistance, because resistances usually get rejected, as this, let's see, as this 31.30 level has been rejected once, twice, kind of 3 times, 4, 5, 6. So this level has been very strong in the past, and it's unlikely that it'll break unless the earnings in a couple days are really positive. So I'd be on the lookout for that. Oh, it did not like that. Long term, the track record that it's had looks positive. I don't know, why is this? Things are looking weird. Let's go to the long-term time frame. So long-term, this seems like a decent play. Obviously, when you're taking a position in a bank, you're not going to be getting these crazy returns like in some other companies, but the lack of profit that you'd be getting from this makes up for it in the lack of volatility. So you're less likely to lose 95% in 5 years, but you're also not going to be making 400% in, I don't know, a year and a half. So kind of taking that, but I like Bank of America. The more I look at the stock, the more it looks attractive for a longer term play. I also like this short term swing trade in between this really strong support and resistance. And until that breaks, I'll also put an alert here in case it breaks the all-time high. There's a lot of potential plays here. For a stock that's on Robinhood for the most popular, pretty happy with the stock that they picked. Out of the financial sector with the banks, Bank of America seems like a winner. So in my opinion, Bank of America would be a decent play. I might be taking a position if it comes back and retests the support. As I've talked about in the past, I do not like taking positions near a 52-week high or an all-time high, just because I don't have the track record of the charts to look at to have projections on where the stock may be going next. So the more likely play that I would take would be if it comes back and retests the support, and less likely if it breaks this resistance, which seems unlikely based off how strong it's been. And now we'll hop over to the analysts and see what they say. Let's see, up 23% on the year, which is crazy for a bank stock. And then to the forecast. The upper end 45% up, low down 7.7%. So based off of these stocks that we've talked about on this series so far, this has been one of the more attractive ranges. As I mentioned, bank stocks less likely to go down by 95%. But they also don't have the 200% upside that Chesapeake had when we talked about it yesterday. So you're kind of lowering your risk taking a position in a bank stock, but you're also limiting the potential upside, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. And then over on Yahoo, let's see, is up 2% on the day, so good for that. It has undervalued, which I think is kind of interesting, considering that it's at an all-time high. Analyst recommendation buy, short term, medium term, long term, all green. So they kind of agree with me on the aspect of there is a short term potential play here, and there's also the long term upside based off of the track record that it's had for a while. So Bank of America, solid stock. Seems like there's a lot of different plays you could be making in here. You could short it, you could go long, you could take a long term position, you could swing it. There's a lot of things you could do. So Bank of America, happy that people are investing in this on Robinhood, and I wish that they would get out of stocks like Chesapeake and GoPro and put more money into here instead of those crummy stocks. Overall, Bank of America is a pretty decent stock to take a position in my opinion. While I will not be taking a position right now, I wouldn't really fault someone for taking one right now. The biggest problem I see is that it's sitting at a resistance that it has to break before I feel confident taking a position. However, it's also in kind of a nice little support and resistance area. And so if it gets rejected here and it goes back and retests that support that we talked about on the computer, that would be a decent spot to take a position. So the two plays that I would potentially see, more long-term plays, because bank stocks don't really move very rapidly. It does have earnings coming up, so that might push it a little faster. But the potential plays that I may be taking is the break above this current resistance that it's sitting at and riding it to the upside. And then the other one is if this resistance gets, the price gets rejected at this resistance, pushes back down, retests that support and bounces off there, I might take a position there. With bank stocks, you're not going to have a crazy amount of margin or profit that you could be making, but it is a safer bet than taking a risky position in something like the Chesapeake Energy that we talked about, or Tesla, which has earnings coming up. It has me a little bit worried as I still am in that position. So overall, I would say that Bank of America is a very good stock. It has good track record, it's outperforming other things in its sector, and it has some of the best charting for the support and resistance that I've seen in a while. So if you want to play that for a little bit, that may be something I'll be looking at. You could short it right here. I don't love shorting. I talked about that in the past, but Bank of America seems like a decent play for a medium or a long-term swing trade. And while I think this is a good stock, you should do your own research. The analysts seem to be pretty bullish on Bank of America going forward. Kind of surprised to see that on Robinhood it only has like a 55% buy rating, but the rest of it's hold, so it's not that bad. So as I've talked about, the ratings on Robinhood are kind of questionable, so I wouldn't really go off of that. I'd recommend just doing some quick Google searches, look at the websites that I'm looking at, because that usually kind of gets an idea of where the market thinks the stock could be going in the future. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, if you learned something, I really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, as it would help my channel out a lot. And if you have a topic or a company you'd like me to go over in the future, please leave that in the comment section down below, because I'd love to go over it. And thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.